Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to our last podcast of the year.
Seriously, we're almost there, everybody. We're almost there. And I hope we don't forget, but what's to come is the Gold Star Awards. Michelle's reading her prompter, her teleprompter, and it's messing up.
It's on
Yes.
delay.
Yes. So we have fun new categories, which we do every year. Like some are old, some are new, but they're always tailored to the year in which we stop. So looking forward to that. Are we ready to get started with all?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask, is this fair to say, do you feel this week that you got some episodes in a way that are stable? Like it has a I don't know, like a signature to it, like they figured out a style. Like, do you feel like you've arrived to whatever it is they're trying to do?
I feel like I'm still getting there. How about you?
Okay. Um, I will say I think they set up and did a really good job on the whole Michael Willow thing. So I do feel like we're settling in. I think
Okay.
and I feel more strongly after having the week progress that they really truly are doing this whole thing. When I was trying to describe it a few podcasts ago, drawing on the past.
Yes. Yes.
So that's I'll leave it at that for now. So sometimes like I don't fast forward scenes. Sometimes I think it's over and I start fast forwarding and I realize it's not a commercial yet. And sometimes I'm a bit distracted during scenes, and I was a little distracted when Dante and Lulu, except for when he said you need a reality check, and then I was back in. I was like, yes, yes, Dante, because you look as annoyed as I feel when she's around, and I
Oh
think you
yeah.
need to let it out. So yeah, he gave her, I mean, somewhat of a reality check about like, you know, you should like not do anything stupid because you just woke up and Rocco just got you back. Yeah, like he had to tell her that.
I mean, he's never been hotter. He's already, amazing. But when he said that to her, I wish I know he's taking baby steps with her. Like it was a really big deal for him to say that to her. And I love that he gave it the time for it to like register and land. Like my part two to that is like all I heard so far is that she went to dinner with Rocco. Like I know she's focusing on the daughter who's away, and I understand how complicated and messed up that is, but she needs to focus on what's in front of her too, and let the people who have the ability to find her do it, because at this point in time Lulu's just running around yelling at people. And we did compare her to Anna last week, and it's like Anna 2.0. Like she's louder and annoying because she's Lulu from 4 years ago, so she hasn't grown up
Mel,
to be the annoying Anna that is now.
Mel, she's a Spencer. She's a Spencer. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, even
I
Laura
don't
made a point
know.
of saying, yeah, like we were on the run, but not when we had Lulu. We were different people then. And that is what Lulu has constantly and always tries to live up to. But she didn't really
Yes.
have that on the run life, but she keeps trying to make
No.
one to fit in. Um, so yeah, so she's sitting there and the whole thing about Charlotte, like he's trying to validate that. And I feel like we're
Yes.
experiencing the time warp because a lot of us are like, yeah, Charlotte's been gone a while, like old news. And so it is weird
Yes.
because she just woke up and she's in a panic. But for the rest of us and everyone else, they're like, yeah, no, it's not great, but we are on it and we're trying to locate her. But like, that's just what it is. And the fact that she thinks she can do better than all of those other people, like, again, walk before you run. She given how she woke up, but that's
Well,
the
right.
but that's she doesn't have any basic information to go on either, right? Like we saw it confirmed today. Let's not tell her about Anna shooting Charlotte. Let's just let her feel that Anna's looking for Charlotte.
But it's also the fact that she doesn't understand the evolution of Laura and Valentine, like how much their relationship has progressed, that he is a genuinely good, caring father. Yes, he makes missteps and bad decisions, but so did Lulu's father. So did many of the adults in that town. But at the end of the day, Valentine would never put his kid in danger. And I think she's like missing the mark there. Like, does she really think that Valentine dragged Charlotte, unwilling to go on the run?
Yeah, that's super delusional, but that's the funny thing though, right? Because isn't that what she's always
Hmm.
wanted? Apparently,
Exactly.
it's not cool when Charlotte does it. When Charlotte
Your
gets to
post
go on
was
the run
funny.
with her dad, it's not as cool. But like, but I don't think that's been addressed because I am surprised that Dante didn't at least say like, look, it sucks, but like at the time, like I think that if Lulu were alive, he wouldn't have taken Charlotte.
No, 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 no. I do believe that as well.
And so given he was like the only parent and he didn't want to like leave her, like I do get that, but I'm surprised that Dante didn't say like at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that she's not here and it's unfortunate the situation, but like we both know she's safe with Valentine. And yes, Lulu has always tried to deny that. It's a sore spot for her, the fact that Charlotte and
Yes.
Valentine are as close as they are. So yeah, I don't
Hmm.
I think she is being classic Lulu. She's completely ignoring the fact that Charlotte is okay with her dad. However, that is sort of the gateway to finding them is the fact that she is a teenage girl and chances are as much as she loves her dad, she's probably wanting to connect back with her friends and rejoin the world. So that's
Yes.
also changed. But yeah, that hasn't been addressed. The fact that like Laura doesn't think he's necessarily a bad guy. Um like he's
Yeah.
not the same Valentine that he is. But so after that, she goes to Tracy, and it was so funny watching her like take a break from going at Drew to actually have a reunion with Lulu.
Yeah, I loved it.
What I liked a lot about their reunion was their ability to bond over Luke and the fact that like she was actually able to say because she was the one spending time with Luke, and even Lulu was surprised, oh my gosh, you guys were still together,
Yeah.
that she got to hear, what he was saying about Lulu. So that she really, really needed.
Oh yeah, big time.
That I found heartwarming. Not so much the Brooklyn encounter. It was so cringe. So cringe. Lulu sitting there acting all high and mighty, like, oh, hi, Brooklyn. It was just too much. What did you
I
think?
I commend Brooklyn for keeping it together because she just kept, sticking to the reality of what life is, that she has changed. She has gone through things. That was 4 years ago. You're stuck. She also did give her a reality check. It might not have been what Lulu wanted to hear. Like, especially when she was asking them about like the dating, like she's married now. Like, we know Brooklyn's path in terms of trying to have a baby and the difficulty in that. And her company and how far she's come. And to hear Lulu speak to her like that, like, of course, I feel the way I feel about Lulu. And then I'm
Yeah,
super defensive about and protective over Brooklyn. So yeah, it was really hard to watch because it was like watching a mom and a little child be bratty.
exactly. And what I thought was hilarious is that yes, you're right. It sounded strange. Like I thought you guys would get together. And it's like, well, that didn't happen. It just didn't. And I'm just
Yeah.
thinking to myself, like, that happened so long ago. And Brooklyn never pursued Dante in an ongoing way. It was literally situational. Like Carly paid her.
Yes.
And then after that, like, no, like every time Brooklyn was in the picture, the storyline had little to do with like her and Dante having anything romantic.
Hmm.
So that's why it's like so important that Brooklyn noted you're stuck in the past, you're stuck in like 2010 because she's not, because that's the thing. Lulu was playing on things and pushing buttons that had little to do with 4 years ago. That had to do with way longer than that.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that is so sad. And also we know it's because they're kind of reviving whatever passed between Brooklyn and Dante because of like Geo. But it was so
Hmm.
funny how she's like, yeah, I love how it blew up in your face. And she's sitting there reveling in that. And when
Yeah.
Brooklyn called on it, her next line is, look, the only thing I'm thinking about is my daughter. Not at all. That is
No.
so not the case because you had the time when you see Brooklyn, you could have just said hi, you could have just let it go. But instead, you had to pick on something that was so old. So old. I mean, mind you, they were
So
adults,
old.
and like that is sort of how Chase and Brooklyn got to know each other because Brooklyn and Lulu straight up had like a physical fight in the Metro Court.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I like that Lulu was called out and it was an interesting scene because like Dante's being very careful because he's like grown, and I like that, the respect he's showing for Brooklyn, and he is saying, we have to have a little grace, she's having a hard time, but I like that Brooklyn kind of called on certain realities. She's not, but that's the thing, I don't even think Dante agreed with this. She's like, she's not the heroine like she is for you in your story, and he's like, meh, I
Nah.
don't know, I don't think so. But she feels the way that she feels, and her growth showed, but they again made a little callback to their past.
Oh
She's like,
yeah.
imagine Lulu's upset about this if she had only known. And this is what's hilarious to me, is just that it's an interesting circle.
Yes.
So we have Lulu and Dante, okay, who have a kid. We have Brooklyn and Dante, who have a Geo.
Yep.
We also have Brooklyn, who had a night with Valentine, and Valentine, who has a baby with Lulu.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a closed circle, completely closed.
Full circle. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, does she know that Brooklyn hooked up with Valentine? She's not gonna be happy that Brooklyn hooked up with all her baby daddies.
Exactly.
But when I saw her with Cody, and then like Dante walks in as if like, I've seen something, and I'm like, yeah, they're both reckless and immature, and it was a perfect match. Like you can see it. It
Totally.
was
Totally.
it was they were they it was just so, I'm like, yep, they're both in there, just completely just immature. Hey, you owe me $20. Picked you up on the side of the street. I do adventure. I do horses. It's just like, okay, all right. Like, it's just, they're perfect for each other. Like, honestly,
They really are.
just stay there. Just do whatever. Just do whatever.
Just move into the horse house. She doesn't know where to live anyways.
I know. I know. Anyway, so that was really good. In the end, Cody does show up for Christmas Eve because it was Christmas Eve really fast. Did you know? Did you know?
Well, I there was a lot of Christmas decoration, a lot of talk of who's going to see who when. So I caught on real quick today.
Now I'm just like, but when did the Quartermains do the Christmas party, and when do they spend the holidays together? Anyway,
Yeah,
so
it's like a pre-holiday party, I guess, because slash football
Peter,
party.
yeah. Do you know my favorite part, when Sasha went to go talk to Cody, like into coming?
What was
He's
your
like,
favorite
you
part?
deserve having a family. Let us be there for you. And I was like,
It was good. It was so good.
wow. I was just like, damn, damn.
It's like, usually when a couple, big air quotes here, breaks up, it's like the first person to move on kind of wins. And Sasha like wins hard because she had sex with Michael and she's gonna have a quartermain baby. So like she wins a lot.
But that's why I feel like she's okay. She's like, I can hang
Exactly.
out with you because I'm cool. I had a cleanse. I did a cleanse after, so I'm all right. But no, actually, more about Sasha. It was so interesting because she goes to the church and she saw so
Yes.
much family,
So much. Yeah. Oh
so
my gosh, so
much
much.
family. And so the thing
Yes.
too, what I do find kind of unique about this story with Sasha is that we were on the ride with her. We saw how much she
Oh
had to
yeah.
take. This woman was practically tortured. And I think it's kind of cool that we're actually getting to see what happens at this stage of her journey. The fact that like she's going through the like challenges of having a baby now, like the fear that goes along with it given her past.
Yeah.
So I kind of do appreciate that they're taking the time to like address that fear and address what it's like when you do have a next chapter and you do try again. So like it's just very interesting, and
Hmm.
I hope they really do like do it justice because it was serious. Her storyline was very
Oh
serious. She had
yeah.
a lot of loss. So I just hope that they're very careful with this. And I think it's kind of cool as an audience that we got to see all of that, that we're getting to see this part, because it was one thing for her to like stand on her own and like be okay and get to the other side. But this is huge. This is scary. Now she's touching on kind of having the things she always wanted that were taken away. So
Yes.
I'm curious how that's gonna go. And I mean, she almost slipped to Michael.
She
And I do,
did.
yeah, like I want, like she could use more family. Like she has the Scorpio. She's always had Sunny and Carly ultimately, regardless of what was going on. But to be
Hmm.
fully part of their family in this way would be really,
Next
really,
level.
really, really interesting. So Michael doesn't know yet. and he's experiencing his own drams. So this week we got to see what happened because Carly interrupted the Great Escape and it didn't really work out. So
No.
what did you think of those scenes?
Oh my gosh, they're like top notch, all the stars, all the face acting, all of like the one-liners. Like what my favorite comes out of there. What is it that Carly says? If you think I'm not going to stop what's going on here because the children are present, you're super duper wrong. I'm like,
I
yes.
I had to rewind. I'm like, did she say super super? Did she actually say super duper? And I'm like, Carly just said super duper, and I loved it. And then Nina, I was surprised she said that because she was like, Nina saying, Grandma Carly always ruining the fun. I was like, excuse me. My other favorite line came from Carly when she said something about like she's like the kids come first. She's like, well, you didn't put them first at your last sleepover.
Yeah, so good. So good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for me, okay, elephant in
Yes.
the room here. To me, I was so stunned and taken aback. Like we saw that Willow bonded with Nina, but like, look, look, let's be real. You bonded with Nina because you knew that she was the only person who could not judge you for what you had
100%.
done.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucks because it's like Nina has done a pretty good job of managing
Yeah.
and respecting boundaries and putting Willow first. But
Mm-mm.
there's
For the
mixed
most
signals.
part.
Yeah, there's mixed signals on that this week because she talks about Michael one way and then in another, and then back to the other way, and you're like, what? Because you sound like you're making sense, like being neutral, and then others no. So like for this moment, I just thought it was so fascinating because now I'm watching Nina, the woman who sued you for custody, for shared custody or visitation rights
Yes.
as a grandparent. She tried to take away your ability to make full blown control, like to make decisions and have full control over what you felt was good for Wiley.
Mm-hmm.
Her Nina-ness is exactly the thing that you didn't want to have anything to do with, but it's her Nina-ness that you're leaning on to navigate the situation.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's so much there because it's so multi-layered and it's so
Yeah.
fascinating to watch. So when you're talking about Nina, go back and forth about Michael. So we talked about how like they'll bond on the on the insanity of it all, like for lack of a
Yeah.
better word, on the fact that they're both a little bit unhinged and can truly create their own narrative in the situation. So we see these little blips of old Nina, and then you watch Willow when she's interacting with Drew and how she validates her feelings
Uh,
towards him and how
yeah.
she manipulates the situation of Michael's actions. So I love the way they're kind of meshing that all together to ultimately bond Nina and Willow for life. I mean, until she finds out about Drew, but even when she does, that can't break her because Nina's the only person on her side right now.
Exactly. Exactly. She doesn't have anyone else, so she's not going to have a choice. And it's funny because for so long everything was just a little bit black and white for Willow.
Mhm.
Um
Mhm.
and now it's like she's forced to kind of have these imperfect relationships.
Oh yeah, big time.
So when Michael walked in, like, I mean, good. Like, I was just like, Michael, stop talking to Drew. Like, just enough. Like, this is a
Oh
useless
my gosh.
conversation.
Tell me how she kissed you. Tell me how you fell in love, guys.
It was so
Just
bad. And like Drew at this point is like, everyone hates me. There's literally nothing getting in his way right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
why back down now? You're already a bad guy. You're already kind of,
Yeah.
paying the price. So why not follow your heart? So again, I know that Drew's a bad guy, but I can't like I'm also like meh about the whole thing because for me, I'm kind of sick of the full blame. Like I think he was so freaking sleazy. Like even with the hostile takeover being like out with the old, I'm like, say that to Michael Drew. Like look at what you're doing. So it
right.
makes me laugh, but at the same time, I'm like, but Drew gets to do that. Yeah, sure. Michael's his nephew, but not all families are close. They're all cutthroat at like in the Quartermain. For me, I'm annoyed because Drew didn't make vows to Michael. Willow did. And everybody's acting like she's some
Exactly.
kind of
Thank
victim to
you.
Drew, and she isn't. She isn't. She
Nope.
has time and again chosen to do things on behalf of what other people are telling her rather than to speak to her husband directly. She has refused to be honest with her husband and instead is doing all this other crap. So please. Okay. And it's funny watching everyone else see it for what it is, particularly my
Hmm.
favorite early gold star to Rick and Ava. Just their commentary in today's
Yes.
episode just highlights that fact. So before we even get there, going back to the gatehouse, Michael does show up. And I was annoyed when she went up to him and to be like, Michael, they belong with their mother. They belong with me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the same one who stopped being a nurse because you said you were never seeing your children and have worked
Yes.
with Drew
Thank
as a
you.
result. Now
Hmm.
you're like, they belong with me. And I'm just laughing. And I'm like, did anyone ever hear of this little thing called shared custody? Like, I was just
Right?
like,
Come on,
why is
man.
everybody acting like it has to be one way or another? I understand what Nina is saying because she's not wrong in wanting to protect her and thinking of the legalities of it all. But this goes to show that Willow has had zero faith in Michael. Absolutely none. She couldn't even stop for a second and even think about the person she was with. She gave him no leeway, nothing, no
Hmm.
faith, no like benefit of the doubt. Nothing. She was so quick to vilify him in order to justify what she did. And the fact that when
Absolutely.
she was asking, I respect Michael for like literally putting his kids first. But in that moment, I was like, dude, you're not special no more. You don't get to go to Michael and ask this and be little Miss Helpless, like do what I want.
Yep.
I was annoyed, but I do realize Michael was not necessarily like giving in, especially when he explained like it hit hard. It's so
Yeah.
to have watched Michael during that time,
So
to
crazy.
and then him kind of referencing that and it like shut Carly up really fast. She was like,
Hmm.
right, that did happen to you. And it's interesting watching what Michael is doing with this information. And again, that's what Diane is for. Diane is there for the fight. Michael's lived through it many times to understand this whole shared custody thing. And I just figured you guys needed space and at some point that they were going to talk, but that did not happen. Willow and
Yes.
Nina flew out of there really fast. But what kind of bugged me was when Michael walked in and Nina with her anger face, like, Michael, this is what's best. I'm like, shh, be quiet.
Chill out.
Like, be
Hmm.
quiet. And I mean, you can take the kids now. Cause I was wondering, I'm like, does that matter? Cause, like, I mean, what reason would you have to say it can't be shared custody?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, the kids are often watched a lot just living in the Quartermains with a bunch of other kids.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, you're gonna have your own lives. What's wrong with just using like the Quartermain house, right? For any time the kids need anything. Anyways, they leave. I'm just using common sense, and that does not belong in soap operas.
I know. What are you
So
thinking?
I have no idea. So I'm just loving this. So they leave. And now Nina's all like, I want to give them the best Christmas ever. And then she starts going off about Michael. Michael's always been in the way of our relationship. I'm
Hmm.
like, you mean the
No.
relationship you currently have? That relationship? Like, I was so confused. I'm
Exactly.
like, how can you complain that Michael's like in the way when you've had the relationship with her? So much so that you knew personal details that nobody else knew, and you were the first one there to kind of strategize, and you had influence over her.
Because at the end of the day, could she really be mad at the daughter who made really poor choices or be mad at the person left behind who she already has past anger with?
Yeah, yeah, because even her, she's blaming Drew, but it's like I'm just
She
laughing
knows.
because I'm just like, I'm watching her deal with Willow. And
Hmm.
I'm just laughing at her face because I'm like, parenting's fun, isn't it, Nina? Because this is what you always
Right?
wanted. This is it. I was like, Willow has kind of lost it. So it was so interesting, watching her support Willow, but it's got to be weird for her, because even in today's episode, I couldn't tell if Nina was scolding Drew or flirting with Drew
I
because
know.
he's playing dumb. And then when she
Yep.
reminds him by going, I remember everything, like I haven't forgotten, then he starts just going like, look, I know I slept with everyone, but I have feelings for Willow. Now that she's an option, they're really strong. And then Nina makes this comment about like those feelings. Like, did you have
Of
those feelings?
location.
And then she just starts listing all the places they did it in her apartment. That's why she didn't want him there because it's so
Hmm.
weird. It's
So
so
weird.
weird. And then I loved when like Ava came over to talk to her because she's like, "Are you
Oh,
gonna be
the
honest?"
best conversation.
are you gonna tell her what happened? I'm like, okay, wait a second. What is happening? I'm like, so Nina is comfortable being like, no, I shouldn't tell her that I slept with Drew before, a little after, some before, all of it. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna get a divorce on her behalf. I think that's safer. I think what's safe right now is to hide that because I don't want her to go back to Michael. And I'm like, right, because her moving to DC with primary custody of the kids would be peachy. Like, what is your alternative here, right? You're vilifying Michael when you've been getting along with him. And then even in today's episode, she was even speaking kindly of Michael more so than even Drew is doing.
Yeah. It's oh my god. No, but like Nina, early gold star to her too, because everything about those scenes from the moment before, everything goes down when she calls Drew, or maybe he was in the back room with Willow and the kids, and she calls him smarmy, his smarmy face. And then when Ava's trying to say, like, don't drink, like, you have to keep it together. She's like, this day sucks. Best face acting, best line delivery, that whole scene. And Ava just telling her to keep it together. Like, I'm so glad their friendship is renewed and that she can help her through this.
But you know what I find really fun about it is like I felt like telling Nina about like, but Nina, this is what a Christmas would have looked like with a family. When you're not
Yup.
doing crazy schemy things or forcing your way like into another, like this is your family and it's hilarious, what's happening. It's like I just felt like it was mini drama, and it was like Nina for the first
Yes.
time getting to experience this relatively wholesome, not super like we're not harming people by pretending someone's dead.
Yeah.
It's different and it's funny and it's playful, but like Willow is insufferable. Like, oh
So
my
bad.
God.
So bad. So bad.
So what I thought was really okay. So we saw that Drew went to go see her at that thingy. Love Jordan. Want to be her when I grow up.
Amazing.
I think she's the
Yes.
best thing ever. Her face acting, all the
On
shade she's
point.
throwing at Drew. She's like, "You're gross," and she enlists Felicia to help separate them. I
Yes.
love how big and bad and tough she is. And then the whole flu shot thing, I was like, all the
So
gold
cute.
stars to Jordan. Um, but yeah, it was really bad. He went there and he's like talking to Willow, being like, yeah, I'm not staying there. I'm gonna like have Christmas with Scout in a hotel room. And I'm like, honestly, Drew, just stop. Like, just stop.
Mhm.
Okay, like you did what you did, so deal with it. Like hide, like rather than hide behind Scout and her grief to get to Willow, at least
Right?
use that to just stay there and deal with it and give Scout a decent Christmas, like with her brothers. Like this is the thing. Like Jason is tolerating him. Dante, they're all living together to keep the kids together, and then you're just gonna go pull her apart for
Yes,
Christmas and put
awful.
her in a
It's
hotel
disgusting.
room after her mom died. I'm just saying, like, so your family doesn't like you. They're not going to do anything if you're there with Scout. Like, they're capable of managing.
Yes.
So I just thought that was so manipulative. And then he scores that invite. I'm like, what is the matter with you, Willow? Like, truthfully, what is
Right?
the matter with you? And why aren't you arranging it so Michael can drop by or see them or things like that? But then, like, I thought the conversation Michael and Chase were having was interesting
So good.
and more
Such a good
so
conversation.
yeah, and I think more so after the fact. So, Michael keeps trying to say like I did this to you, and I like that Chase was like able to put nuance to it because he has
Yes.
acknowledged in the past that he did sort of pressure it, right? He was dying and he kind of
Mhm.
like overwhelmed her and pressured it and that whole thing. So he did in the past acknowledge his role in that. No, it
Mhm.
doesn't excuse Willow, being unable to like be honest. But then they started talking about her past.
Yes.
So they started talking about Willow's tendency to kind of, of course she fell for great guys, but falls in love with those who protect her because she sort of never had that.
Exactly.
And I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of interesting." But then but then I was like, there's another way of also looking at this. So the fact that they said that Willow grew up in cults,
Mhm.
I was like, see, that's interesting to me because right now she's not making many decisions on her own. She's allowing Nina to make choices for her, and she's allowed Drew to
Yes.
make choices for her.
Yes.
Because that's what I was noticing. You know, she didn't even push back when like Nina said, I got a lawyer involved. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I knew you left and you took space, but I didn't know that she had made a decision. And does she not understand this paperwork is going to go directly to Michael and it says you're
Well,
filing for
right?
a legal separation? And you didn't think that like it would be important to kind of like keep the peace. Like he let you have the kids to keep the peace, but she seems to feel entitled. She's like, well, he knows that the kids are best with me. And my favorite was when Martin was sitting with Nina asking, well, what's the reason for the divorce? And it's like Willow didn't sound really good.
Nope.
She didn't sound too good. And then he's like, but Wiley's not her biological son.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, well, she did adopt him, but it's like there's so many things that don't necessarily play in her favor, but she's so well protected, right? She was protected by a powerful family for a long time. She had a cop to start with, and she upgraded to all
Yes.
that money and mansion. And now Nina is just taking care of everything for her. And she's not even thinking about like the tension between her and Michael. And I was so grossed out listening to her today. Like, she's just listening to all these things about Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and when he's talking to her about like the company, like Rick brings that up, bringing up the company being stolen, and she still believes that he outed her on the video. He told her what happened, and that carries zero weight.
Right?
And then she's like, I feel like I don't know Michael. And I was like, hold
Mm-hmm.
on, little miss.
Mm-hmm.
Because I recall you showing up to court when you guys were fighting for custody of Wiley from Nell, and the lawyer was there antagonizing you. You had just married Michael to portray a stable couple, just as Nell had married Julian as like a retaliation sort of thing to make things even. And when the
Mm-hmm.
lawyer came up to her and called her Miss Tate, she said, that's Mrs. Corinthos to you. And so she knows exactly what that name means. She knows
Mm-hmm.
exactly who Michael is, and she knew it came with power. So don't sit there and tell me you don't know. You decided to overlook it. You decided to kind of separate yourself from him. And he talks about hiding things from her because he wanted to be seen in a good light. And yes, Michael did do that. He did keep a lot from her, but
Yeah.
Willow is also not stupid.
Exactly. And
You
she
know,
kept things from him too.
she did, but she like just because you didn't see Michael doing it doesn't mean you don't know what he's capable of. Like it's
True.
so not true because you knew the weight of that name when you married him, when you fake married him, and he's also
Mm-hmm.
confessed things that he's done, and you also know of his past. So don't sit there. You know that Michael could be cutthroat. So I just think that's really special. She's full blown in Delulu land. And I loved when she was talking with Nina. Nina's trying to like show her reason, and she's like, you can't, like, his family's not going to be on your side. She's like, I know one person on my side, Drew. And I'm like,
Ew.
your lover? What is
Ew.
wrong with you?
Ew.
What is the matter with you? It's, anyways, like Nina has her hands full, but
Oh
yeah, so
yeah.
not liking Willow right now for the how fast she turned and how fast she let everybody else end her marriage. You know, like Drew would tell her when and when not to be honest with Michael,
Yes.
and Nina's telling her you need to have lawyers involved and you need to have full custody. And not like once did I hear Willow say anything about shared. Like, why would full custody be necessary?
Exactly. She
So
said
yeah,
it once, but it was like in a whisper. And then she said it for like the sake of saying it out loud at the beginning of their conversation, like her and Nina. And then it moved on they moved on very quickly from that point.
but what do you think the exit is going to be? Because apparently, like the actor playing Michael gone in January.
I know, and that's like I keep thinking about that too, because between Sasha having his baby, we saw
Mm-hmm.
Sidwell at the church, we have
Yes.
Willow and all of these things happening. I'm like, okay, is he gonna run after Sasha to find his baby? Does he chase after Willow because she moved to DC with his kids? Like, what is the catalyst? I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'll tell you in a sec. But when I saw Sidwell, I was like,
Hmm.
why did it take you so long to get from Miami to Port
I know,
Charles?
right? It's a long
Anyways, now that I
flight.
got that out of the way.
They didn't tell him that he could deplane. I mean, it happened to Ethan.
I know he's
So,
still on a plane somewhere in a suit. In a suit. Um. Okay, so I'm hoping that
mhm.
he doesn't go to jail because the way him and Curtis's plan, it doesn't sound legal. You know?
I know. Like all I could keep thinking was the SEC, or whatever the acronym is.
Well, yeah, because they mentioned the SEC. And
Yeah,
then like I, so they come up with this feeling risky plan.
ridiculous.
And
Hmm.
Michael even told him, with everything going on, there's a chance you can get this CEO thing without me. So I love that. I feel like it scores points
Yeah,
for Michael. But Curtis is special.
I cannot
Such
with
on a
him. I
whole other,
cannot.
like, Jordan told him, we'll play them both. This guy does not know how to play anybody. He didn't
Nope.
even think to like make sure that he kept playing Michael and Drew against one another. And for some reason, he successfully enacts a plan, which I didn't know was successful because he texted Michael and we knew that Michael was talking with Chase. So I actually didn't know if this plan was like solid. So when like Curtis was like shoving it all in Drew's face, I didn't even know if this was like for certain because of how it was. But
Yes.
like, why would you tell Drew everything?
Because he can't keep his lips zipped. He told his whole family. He told Drew. He's gonna tell everybody.
And that's what I'm worried about. Like Carly just had all these charges because she like bought a ton of stock with insider information.
Yep.
And so like that's what I was worried about. But like with Curtis, I'm like, I was like not sure what was happening because he was starting to like tell Drew all the details. I'm like, why would you imply or say this to somebody who's capable of seeking revenge? Like
Exactly.
you literally secured this, but you don't have any power. What I think is hilarious is that Drew gave you an opportunity. You were like trying to be a cop, PI, and then you ran a like a bar. And then he said, "Hey, do you want to like start a wellness division?" He let you go into the corporate business for the first time, and you felt that he owed you his entire company. So he
Right?
gives you a job, you do that for like a hot minute, then you're interim CEO for a little bit, and you're all, I deserve this. You owe me your whole company because I liked it. I liked what you built. I liked what you got going
Want it.
on. Super love the power that comes with gimme, gimme, gimme. And I'm just like, okay, Curtis. Like he doesn't have like that wealth and that power, that background. So you're gonna go. You secured CEO. You made Michael Pinky swear that he'll give it to you for 5 years, and you're like, no maneuvers, no outing me, no secret voties.
It's so
Okay,
bad.
just give it to
So
me for five
bad.
whole years. And I'm like, okay, like, are you a grown man? Like,
So
just
weird.
there desperately seeking certainty. It's like that's not life. And so then I'm like, okay, so you're gonna like make sure Drew knows
Yeah, yeah. Tell
you
him everything.
have zero. Like, good for you, you're a CEO, but you understand he can come at you any which way he wants because he
Mm-hmm.
can.
Yeah.
So and then he's telling his family like I deserve it. I'm like, do you? I don't
Do you
know. I don't
though?
even I don't even think you did the wellness division for a full year. What
No,
do you
he did
what do you
not.
know? He's like, I've earned it. I'm like, probably not. Like, have you even gone through one quarter? He's like, the company has grown with me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how could you sell yourself in contrast to Michael? Yes, Drew promised him this and he could do whatever he wanted with his company. But no, Curtis, you don't necessarily deserve the company. And as for your experience, you've done it for 5 minutes. But we'll see what happens. They're kind
Truly.
of throwing him in the game. And they're also highlighting dynamics, right? Because Stella started to mention Tracy. But Tracy's not
Yes.
going to care, right? Because Aurora is Aurora. It's kind of like not really part of Yellow Cube, but it's interesting. It kind of throws the families together, and maybe we'll have like a feuding family. Because like Port
Oh
Charles
yeah.
used to have feuding businesses. It used to be the cosmetics companies,
True.
and there used to be whatever Jax's company was. So that used to happen. So it used to be like Jax's company, ELQ, and then a while back, it turns out Cassadines have Cassadine Industries. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that's
Apparently.
why you had a castle. So yeah, that whole thing happened. So I'm kind of just scared. I'm just scared about like Michael because this all sounds really shady and like jaily a little bit. And then
Yes.
something Curtis said that I was like, this is also why this is not your
Tell me.
place.
Tell me. Tell me.
He says this to Drew. Friends don't lead each other on. I'm like, what are you, Anna now? Like, I just When that line happened, I was dying. I was dying. I thought it was so funny.
Well, yeah, I thought about you because, when Jordan made fun of him that time, but it's so accurate. Like it's exactly what we say all the time. If things go a little bit awry, Curtis is gonna get real mad, guys.
But
Super
it was the
mad.
first time I saw him mad. Like I took a picture because I've never seen him like mad.
So
You
funny.
were gonna take your job from me. Yeah, Drew was gonna take his job from you. I see that upsets you. So, anyways, I think it's hilarious, but clearly that's a direction. So I think that it could mean like just, rival businesses. And again, don't really know because if Michael's leaving, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious though, because like, is that why I found it very symbolic when Jason and Sasha had their scene? Because
Yeah.
again, like how you talk about those references to the past, like that moment
Mhm.
when, Carly was a single mom and Jason helped her, raise Michael and how that changed his life. I don't think it's because Jason is the person for Sasha, but just that whole situation, right?
I hope so. Like I said, I mean, it'd be really weird. You can't go beating up on Drew and then scoring one of Michael's baby mamas.
Yeah, no, you
You can't do
cannot.
that.
No.
Um, some people like were commenting on our page talking about how like Jason tends to take on strays, right? Like when
Yeah,
Sam
totally.
was pregnant, right? And it was with Sunny's baby. He was there to support her. So yes, he does have a reputation of supporting pregnant ladies. He does. Um, the thing with Sasha is she's like a full person and
Yes.
she's capable of kind of holding her own, making space for like a Jason, not like too talky. So yeah, I can see Sasha able to have a friendship. I could see her being capable of just having a relationship with Jason the way she's had a good relationship with, let's say, the Corinthos family.
Oh yeah, big time. Like a mutual respect and somebody she has her family now, like Maxie and all of them. But Jason's just a really good person to have on your side, and he knows Michael so well. So when Michael goes away, I just feel like that's going to be her connection, but not like in a weird romantic way.
I mean, I truly, truly hope not. But if I have to
No.
compare between her and Anna, I'd be like, no, Anna.
Oh right, yeah,
But
totally.
I just don't know what to think because it's like they keep showing Carly and Brennan the constant flirting that goes to nowhere. And then
Nowhere.
seeing Jason and Sasha, like, I don't know, because it's like this is not generations ago. So she's not swayed by the Jason magic. Like how before everybody was like fighting to be important to Jason.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's not there with her.
No.
But it's kind of intimate if like this person is like helping you raise your baby or there because he was there with Michael and can actually speak to a lot of things about Michael. So I don't know. Like I don't know.
Mm.
I'd like her to be this family member, but like
Mhm.
I really don't know what they're doing. I think they're playing because she's like, "Thank you for saving my life." And I'm like, "Well, those are really intimate things, saving someone's life and like raising babies together." So I guess we're gonna have to wait it out and see what they're doing. Do you know what's crazy to realize that Jason was only back this year? Do you realize he's been back
Really?
on the soap since March? And it honestly feels like they've only pressed play on his character a few weeks ago.
That's so true. Because I'm like, yeah, yeah, accurate, totally
Oh
accurate.
gosh. And then once again, he gets summoned to Anna's office and she's like
I
talking about her
cannot.
caseload and what she needs to assign to him. And that, I guess she has to, she's so disappointed. I guess I have to solve Dex's case. I guess I have to do job. Can't spend all my time searching for Valentine. I'm like, this is just so sad. I
So
can't believe I have
bad.
to watch this. But you know what didn't shock me? Is
What?
like, I'm like, of course you make this about her. Dex dies. Joss loses her boyfriend, and she's like, oh, it's my fault. I hired him as a cop. I'm like, it's just not about you, Anna. Like, even Jason was like, I spoke to Joss and I was with her. She never mentioned you. So,
Right? Like, thank
so
you.
oh, don't worry. I just couldn't handle it because it's like if it's not like boo-hooing over Charlotte, now you're like I'm gonna boo-hoo over Dex. And even Felicia was like, no, I don't think it has anything to do with you. I think he was a person who made his own choice and he was pretty happy about what he decided to do with his life. But yeah, Anna was just bananaing all over the place. And it's just interesting because you see her in scenes with Jason and she's like, no problem with criminals. And then Sunny walks in. She's like, I have a problem with criminals. It's just like, I
If not
can't.
hot criminals that I'm in love with, that's who she's okay
Oh,
with.
and all the crying.
So
And then the
much
way that, like,
crying.
that Jason is extra gentle is like, you're doing it again. She's like, doing what? I'm like, being a douche. Like, just stop it already. Just stop. And he just is all tender and gentle. And I'm just like, can Robin come and visit just to smack them both
Honestly,
around a little bit?
honestly.
Oh, I like, where is this going? Where is this going?
Nowhere, I hope.
Thank you.
Nowhere.
Me too. I hope it hits a wall.
Yes.
Do
A
you know
lot
what
of his relationships do.
Do you know what I liked about Tracy and his scene? It was hilarious. Like, okay, so I would
So
have to
good.
say comedy is alive and well. So between Ava and like Rick loving it,
Yes.
Tracy and those Jason scenes, and I just was like so I was smiling because, sometimes like you hear Steve Burton on his podcast or interviews, and it's just fun because you're like, that's gotta be fun. Right? Because like he's a lifer, he's been there for so long. And Tracy is one of those like original cast members that knows everything about his story. So I'm like, that has got to be so much fun to be in that house and to play with more people than he's used to. And especially to go toe to toe with Tracy has got to be freaking amazing.
Right?
But what I love the most and thought was really interesting is that Tracy like denounces the mob. Obviously, she's like, "You're a thug, you're a murderer, but you're
Yeah.
loyal and you're part of this family." And I'm laughing because she welcomed him in as if it were a mob family.
Exactly.
So those scenes had so many layers to it. I absolutely loved it, and I felt like her and Martin, like that's happening.
Oh yeah, big time. That
Yeah, that's
would be
happening.
so adorable.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that go on. Where do you think Diane went?
Like actually,
Yeah.
St. Bart's.
Okay. I'm just curious, like, where do you think she went? So yeah, we got to see where everybody spent their Christmas Eve. It's kind of sad though, because it's like Christina has like this big family. So she gets to say, like, meh, screw you guys. And she gets to leave and like go still have a Christmas Eve with like her brother and like sister and
Yeah.
boss and like Avery and like everyone. So I mean, it's not her fault she has this family, but yeah, it's definitely like crappy for Molly, like to the point where Alexis is forcing herself to hang out with Rick so Molly can have family.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, eh? Because it's like
It's
technically she is also family with
yes,
Christina's family.
yes, but they're making a whole show of putting Christina and Joss back together. And again, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
drawing a lot in the past and a long time ago, they had their scenes together and they're putting them back. But do you know what I want to see?
What do you
They're
want to
giving a
see?
lot of light to the newer generation and everything that happened with Willow. I'm like, sit Christina on her.
Right? Oh,
Just
that would be
like
such a good
these
scene.
girls are suffering between Joss and Christina. They've got a lot going on. I say, let his sisters do what sisters do because Jason talked Carly off the ledge. She's gonna let it be.
Yes.
So let the sisters do their thing. Carly's got a lot going on in her life right now. Like things are starting, so I'm hoping there's going to be a story there somewhere. But there was like comments about like this custody thing might be less about Willow and Michael, but more about like Carly and Nina. I hope not because I'm done with their
I hope
rivalry.
not.
But think of that interesting situation with Michael out of the picture. Nina's in a position. Well, the thing is, Ava was also in this position, but Ava didn't lean into any pettiness. She put Avery first and made sure that she still had a relationship with Carly and everyone, whether she liked it or not. But like Nina will
Yes.
savor this and she'll love, you know, distancing the kids from Carly.
Yes, she will. Too much.
But this is also what I thought was interesting. Should Michael leave and this turn into a custody thing, technically, this is sort of like reliving a little bit of Michael's childhood, right? He said he wanted to protect his kids from being stuck in a custody battle. So, he's making different decisions. However, if he's not around, there
Hmm.
was custody fights from the Quartermains over Michael. Like they got him at one point, which is why Carly had to move in and marry AJ.
Right.
So it's
Right.
interesting because Carly wouldn't necessarily be in this battle. It would be like a Quartermain battle. And so Tracy, just that idea that Tracy would go after Willow and Nina and already lump them together and was sending messages back with Martin. I love that. So I kind of hope I do see that.
I kind of do too now, the way you describe that and just like all the rivalry and I just love seeing Tracy all fired up too.
Because she never got to act on any of her frustrations with Nina.
No, none of them.
So, because what was the last thing that came out that had her upset? What was one of the last things that Nina did that made Tracy so upset and was sort of like calling her out when she came by? Oh, it was turning in Drew.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
she had turned in Drew and that upset Tracy. Now she doesn't care about Drew. But I love all this random stuff
Yes.
where Carly's like, "Oh, Sonny, I know you warned me about Drew." And I'm like, "Did they? What was
I know.
Drew
Like,
bad?" Like
what is the point of that?
I'm like, I don't remember if he was a bad guy before. I don't remember.
Because he
Like
was a
he never.
bad guy. Guys, we're trying to erase your memory. He was a bad guy always.
Yeah, Sonny even warned her. He's a Jason wannabe. He was
Rewriting
living the baby.
history.
Yeah. I'm like, no, like he was never a bad guy. I'm like, this is so ridiculous. Like, even when he thought he was Jason, he set boundaries and distanced himself from Carly and Sonny and tried to make his own
Yeah.
life. I was like, that's probably the
Yeah.
worst thing he ever did, like before he knew he wasn't Jason. So something else that was kind of exceptional this week, always loving the Elizabeth Lucky scenes. Lucky
Oh,
and
they're
Rick had some
magic.
petty scenes, given that Rick's got other things going on.
No, but it's so good. It's so good because, and also just watching the dynamic of like, Lucky is still very youthful and there's nothing wrong with and Rick is like, it looks like a very mature man. And it's
Well,
just a
yeah,
fascinating, it's just
but it's the same dynamic
trio.
of before.
Yes.
But I thought it was really funny when he was like, no, I need to interview her and like you can't be here. And I'm like, why? The sound noise? Like, what difference would it make if you're
Right.
there when she's talking? Because like, I mean, this is the same woman who had a work meeting with her boss. It was like, can my ex-lover come?
I know.
Can my baby daddy be there for moral support? I'm like,
She's cute
Rick, he's
though.
not going anywhere. Like if she took him with her to go see her boss, like she's obviously gonna want to keep him there. So those two were really funny. But then we got like a surprise visit.
Oh, it was so lovely to see his face. How did you feel? And then with the girlfriend walking, like, I'm super happy he's happy.
Well, he's our Cam. So Cam
Yeah.
walks in, I'm so happy. And then no name, not Emma, came in. And honestly, and then I was like, well, that sucks. Like, I mean, Liz has always put her boys first and wants them to be happy. And of course, it sucks that she can't, have him for Christmas. And she knew. So she did what she could to support. She loves the fact that the boys are close. But like later on, because this was weird though, because they were paralleling these scenes with like Joss and Trina crying over dead boyfriends.
Yeah, that's a weird
So,
mashup.
so it's like Cameron's like singing, and then like Joss is like, Dex died. It's like, what is happening here? Like this, they're just
Right.
not in the same place. Like this is not something you contrast like this. And so, anyways, I thought it was interesting because like it was so cool watching Cameron and Lucky sing. Like even when like it feels real to me. Like when Cameron sees Lucky, I'm like, that's real. He knows Lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky was his dad for a little bit. And he's seeing him again, and they're playing guitar again. And like when I saw them in the scenes, their hair, it kind of like looked so alike. It was really cute.
So
Um,
cute. Yes.
but then the next day, we were under the impression that like that's it. Cam is really there just for this like family Weber moment. But then he sees Joss. He sees Joss.
He
Um,
does.
upon that hug, I was like, yeah, Gretchen never stood a chance. He never
No.
like she never stood a chance. Like it's like, hey, how are you? How's Dex? Like he died. He's like, oh my gosh, Joss, come here. Let me love you. Like I'll be
Like I'm gonna go on this trip real quick, but I'll be right back.
Look, I love Gretchen's confidence. She's
I
there and
know,
she's like,
right?
this is my Cam, and like you're Joss, and you were part of his past, and he loves you guys. Yours are close. Like, I'm pretty feeling solid about this. And I'm like, I think it's really good that at the end of the day, at least you have your confidence.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. They'll always have this Christmas.
We'll always have this one Christmas. Goodbye
Yes.
forever.
Yeah. So that's what I think of Gretchen.
Yeah, I feel quite the
I
same.
feel like such a townie. I feel like such a townie right now.
You are. You
That's what
so
Spencer used
are.
to call Cam. I'm like, get out of town, Gretchen. You don't belong here. Like,
You don't know me.
a better person than me because she was like, "This is so great. Thank you for coming." But I love it because I know she's trying to be nice, but she's like, "Oh, we're gonna open presents, but Gretchen, I don't have anything for you because you never told me you were coming."
I love that
So
part
I'm
so
gonna find
hard.
multiple moments to say like, "I don't have food because Gretchen, I didn't know you were coming." You, Gretchen, you're so cute. Didn't know you were coming. Thank you though. Thank you though.
I loved the Elizabeth and Cam conversation in the kitchen. If it's just for fun to like get over whatever it is you need to get over. And he's like, I'm not a for fun guy, mama.
I know it was so sweet, but I'm like, she's not wrong, right? Like she saw how
Right?
hard it was for him to get over Joss. So it's like, because in that moment, I'm like you're under investigation. I get it. You don't want to dump a bunch of things on Cam, but like Sam's
Yeah.
dead, Max died, and he's just getting over Joss. So she's like, yeah, I'm gonna just let it be. I'm gonna just let him live his life because it's like, what is she gonna say? It's too
I know,
heavy.
right?
But he ended up finding out. Like, I didn't even think they were gonna cross paths.
I didn't think so either. Like I was really surprised. And then just poor thing, like walking around aimlessly and like I love that they had their moment, but
Me
do we
too.
know if he's coming back?
No, but I think it's symbolic that they made it a point to have their moment.
Yeah, I think so
But
too.
but like that's the thing. I'm like, what's gonna happen if like Cam and Gio are on at the same time? It's like Ross meet Russ.
Oh, that can't exactly.
They're the same character. They're the same character.
They are.
It's like she's roaming around the market where he got stabbed.
Okay, but also just getting back to the funny part.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
BLK, BLK was telling Gio, you need to make friends, and then he's gonna find Cam. They're gonna be besties.
But it's like he has friends. They also live at his house. Leave him
I
alone.
know.
I'm like, he's
Yeah.
busy. He goes to school. He's in college. He does all these like violin stuff and he practices and he has Joss and Trina. Isn't that convenient that all the people he loves are literally
Oh,
on
I
one
love
compound?
it.
And it's not
Yes.
one of those compounds that, Willow grew up on. So it's different and it's healthier.
Really
So
different.
so
Super
like
different.
don't judge. Don't judge. And then he's like, you're just like you sound like my mom. And I'm like, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, accurate.
Let's adjust the sound notes. Okay, so that was another thing. So think back to the Chase Michael conversation, and then Chase says a lot of things about like
Truth.
communication and honesty. And I'm like, well, that's gonna suck for you because Michael stole your last wife, and Michael's brother had a baby with your current wife.
Oh, yeah. Yep. All very accurate. And both of them were Chase's best friend at some point or another.
He really knows how to pick him. But at the end of the day, Chase loves that house, so I think he'll be fine with
Oh,
whatever
he'll
happens as
deal with
long as he gets
whatever.
to live
He's
there. Yeah,
he's never leaving. Yeah.
he loved that house when he was with Willow, and I think he's happy to be back in. So he'll be all right.
Totally.
Did
Love
we
it.
did we do all the things except for Jordan and
Steamy room? McSteamy? Is that what we're gonna
yeah,
call him now?
they were like in that steam room together,
I love it. And then when
steaming.
the fireman, when he's like, "Hi, lady of the politics," what is her
Deputy
role?
mayor, deputy
Thank you.
mayor. Hello, not Laura. Just you're free now. I have to say, I love Laura and Trina's moment where she kind of like, it's hard, right? She's Spencer's grandmother and she wants Trina to know that, like, you have permission to live your life. Like, he would want that. And for her to kind of share her experience with like different loves, like significant loves in your
Yeah.
life. I thought that was so cute. And then, like, I kind of like Trina in this silly dating place.
Yes, when she said whatever her line was, because I was like, "Oh, I have said dumb stuff like that too."
I feel like that's essentially, and then she repeats it later, and I was like, this is so funny. I mean,
Cute.
I do hope it stays funny and silly. And this is somebody that also challenges Trina because I'm kind of over this whole like Trina meets a guy and is constantly doing the whole fixer upper. You're not good enough. You have to
Yeah, crap.
rise to my standards. But this guy is
Hmm.
at her standards to the point where she's worried that she's like, is he smarter than me? Is he better than me? And she
I
has
love it.
all the goals and the standards and she's seeing that. So I think what could be interesting about this relationship is that he challenges like that rigidity a little bit.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we were giving out stars because we did cover all the things and talk about all the stuff.
Yes.
1 star, and I would give a million stars. we know Joss, the actress's history. So whenever she's faced with dark moments in the show or
Mhm.
death in the show, that's all I can think about truly. So when I
Yeah.
was watching her scene with the Dex, I bawled. Like it was just you
Oh
felt
my gosh,
the
yes.
weight of every word coming out of her mouth. It was so I mean, the writers, like her delivery was amazing, but the writers, whoever wrote that, truly has experience loss in that way, saying goodbye to someone. It felt just
Well,
so
don't you
real
think they
and
should be
so
good at it
deep.
by now? Given
Oh, for
everything they put us
Christ.
through?
Yep. They should be. They should be. And then just Jason, the person being there, I love that he's everybody's rock, but especially somebody like Joss or Michael or the children that he's seen growing up. They're just essentially like his village, right? And he's there to protect them. So I'm glad that he was there when Carly couldn't be, like her pseudo parents, you know?
Well, yeah, it was interesting, right? Because Joss is a mini Carly. And
Yeah,
so it was interesting watching this generation. Like I remember Jason being around when Joss was a baby having her transplant.
it's wild. It's so wild.
So yeah, no, those scenes were pretty hard, but also the fact that like they're sharing a similar experience, right? Because at the end of the day, Jason had to be in that room, well, in a room saying goodbye to Sam. She's doing
Yeah.
it, and it's the same person after them. So I think that like it works out in so many ways. The fact that Anna got to call Jason and the fact that like the Dex and the Sam's death are linked right now.
Yes,
And
exactly.
we can only hope that somebody else gets killed while Elizabeth's away so she can get cleared.
Well, that's exactly it, right? I'm gonna give a star to the scene with Martin and Laura because he is just off the chain
Oh
when
my
he's like
gosh.
when he's just like telling the story and Laura's like, "Oh, this might be my fault because I was like pushing her hard." I'm like, "No, this is not anything to do
It's
with you.
Anna's
Anna's
fault.
sanity is in question here."
And I felt for Barton and I loved it. He like that was a scene on behalf of the audience, and I'm glad that he laid it on and
Yes.
told Laura. But I hope Laura does some. Oh, she didn't. She's Laura saw Anna today, and
Yes.
she didn't like confront her on any of it. But I was annoyed. I'm like, come on, Laura, you owe Martin more than that. And anyways, but he's like, I guess I'll just have to accept that it's like this, and I can't do more about it. But I do hope Laura says something like, don't do that to my brother.
Exactly. Like stay away.
Oh
Okay, so
gosh.
star two, I like the Joss and Christina kind of like grief bonding, for lack of a better
Yes.
way of saying it, and then just disappearing with Donna and coming back, super cute. And I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed too, that Joss's burgundy dress and then Sunny's burgundy shirt underneath his suit jacket. So I love that they're like rebonding them and they had their peace talk. And then we're going to move on from there. But that symbolism. I love the fashion
Well,
symbolism.
I did like that she made peace with Sunny because all I can see when she was talking to him is like you want to hug him so bad because at the end of the
I
day, Sunny can
know.
actually speak to grief and talk to you and talk to you a lot about Dex. I just find it really interesting how significant their relationship is. The fact that they were given that scene and there is something strong about Joss and Sunny's relationship. They've definitely had more, interaction over the years than Christina has. So, yeah, I thought that was really significant that they got that spotlight.
It is because and not to, put too much time on this, but really simply the fact that, Joss has been able to express every feeling that she has had towards Sunny and he just takes it. And he
Yeah,
loves her no matter what, and he's given her the space when necessary. Like he treats her so vastly different than his children, but in the way that he would should probably give space and that reality to his kids. His other kids are always vying for his attention, whereas Joss has this completely unique and different perspective. So yes, I do feel their bond is so different and so strong in comparison to the rest.
yeah, like he was really hurt. And I mean, it was uncalled for. Like I know the feud Michael and Sunny had after the whole Nina debacle, but when he said like Joss is not your family, I was like, ooh, you didn't have to. You did
Yeah.
not have to go there. And
Yeah.
that
No.
really, really hurt because Joss grew up with him. But yeah, you're right. Their relationship is different. I mean, I feel like he did take a lot of what she did more so than he did with Michael.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like he never really like pushed back or tortured her in any kind of way.
No.
Yeah, no, they do have this very, very special relationship. It's interesting to me.
Same. So started them, and I loved another little fashion thing is that Nina was wearing an orange top and an orange pants, and I found it like so funny because it's almost like burst into flames slash she is the sunrise of her new life. So I thought that was really cute.
Oh yeah, like she's killing it right now. It's I mean, I don't know, like things are looking up for her. And again, with Michael being gone, it's really gonna shift things. It's gonna be extra power in her hands, but how she's gonna navigate Drew getting closer to Willow, I don't know. She's gonna snap.
I'm gonna give a star to her, a star to her, a star to Ava, a star to Rick and their scenes together. I like this like magic kind of comedic dry humor friendship
Yeah.
they have going on. And the mistletoe, the almost kiss, what? Star to that.
Yes.
Um okay, stars, lines for you. I just keep talking.
Joss
Stop
Kim.
me.
Joss Kim stars
Yes,
Elizabeth,
yes,
a Weber fam. Um,
yes.
let me see. Do I have nope, I spelled fave wrong. So wasn't gonna find any. So don't definitely have any. I said my favorite lines. I'll go with that. But everybody deserves a gold star. And you guys will get to give out your own gold stars, I guess, at the Gold Star
Yes.
Awards, tossing in your votes. I believe the first categories will go live on Monday. Again, anybody who's needing a coloring book, and also just don't forget to like send us a picture. I want to definitely see what you guys end up coloring. The coloring book is called the Cutie by Coloring Book, and the Instagram handle is Cutie by Coloring. Would love to be able to post whatever you guys end up coloring.
My girls have a coloring book each and they absolutely love it. They are older, they're 9 and 10, and they still find it really fun, not just because their aunt made it, but because they can customize it. They can compare their drawings. They have a really good time in figuring out the names for them. So, highly recommend.
Yeah, that was the part that surprised me the most because, like, even though my daughter can't really spell, she enjoys writing random letters and forcing me to read whatever name she came up with. But what I found surprising, because of course they love to color, but the fact that they love the naming part a lot.
Exactly. Okay, so yes, and then I'm going to continue on with what you're saying. So vote, like Mish said, it starts on
Yes.
Monday. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year, happy holidays, all the best. You hear our voices again in 2025, but for now, find us on the socials.
Bye.
That's a wrap, folks. Bye.